Well, a month later, we finally have it. Texas has passed their new district map. Now, I know there were probably a lot of things we were all hoping to see out of this. We were probably all hoping to see a whole bunch of crying Democrats lose their seats because they decided to play fast and loose with the rules. And of course, we didn't. And I'm sure there's a lot of people angry about this, but it's not over yet. So let's kind of break down the timeline of this, okay? So about 40 days ago, if I get the dates wrong, please let me know in the comments. Speaking of which, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps. We're trying to grow the channel a lot. I know I've been a little absent the last about week and a half, but we're really going to start hammering home some of this content. There's some really kind of interesting stuff going on in the works that I'm really intrigued about, and I can't wait to talk about it. So back to Texas, back to everything's bigger in Texas. So about 45 days ago, Donald Trump calls up Greg Abbott and says, "Hey, I think you got about 5 extra seats in there for Republicans if you play this right." And I'm simplifying everything, okay, guys. Greg Abbott says, "Hey, you know what? I think you're right. Let's redistrict. We can. We don't have to wait until after a census. We can redistrict now." So, and they did a similar thing back in 03, but it didn't work in 03. So Democrats get really angry. They decide we're going to leave the state so that y'all can't have a quorum because we're a bunch of wusses, and they leave. And a whole shitstorm happens. Ken Paxton, who's running for governor, which is one of the reasons why he was so loud about it. Let's not forget that. Let's be honest about this stuff, guys. So he starts making a hellstorm of it, saying, we're going to remove all of them. Greg Abbott said the same thing. But then Ken Paxton gets on TV and says something along the lines of, it's probably going to be a little harder than we want it to be. Maybe we don't do this. It kind of made it feel like maybe they weren't going to. He backed off a little bit. Greg Abbott issues a letter to the Texas Democrats and say, by the power of Attorney General opinion, K something, the governor is allowed to remove representatives or elected officials who refuse to answer a call of quorum. And if you do not return by X time, it was like 3:00 on Friday of that week, I will have you removed from your seat. Now, the problem is, and this is why reading is so important. The problem is that this is never been tested. Governor of Texas has never done this. He's never used this power before. The power that he cites comes from a attorney general opinion from, I believe, 15 years ago. And it was the opinion of the attorney general at the time that the governor could do that if he wanted to. Now, they ended up not doing it back then. The Democrats showed back up and everything went, jolly well. But Greg Abbott actually did start the process. And as far as I can tell, the process is still ongoing. He filed a lawsuit with the Supreme Court requesting that they acknowledge that power and that they allow him to remove the representatives. The Supreme Court then said, okay, Democrats, you have, I think they gave him a week to answer. And after they got everything, they said, okay, we think we need more information. So they requested more memoranda. And they were supposed to have a hearing last week, I believe, on this. And they pushed it out to the first week of September because there's more, let's call it discovery. That's a famous term from Gina Carano. So let's call it discovery. That's what they're looking for, okay? This is still ongoing. Like these Democrats that returned, because they all returned. Let's remember that the Speaker of the House passed a rule saying no more direct deposit. You had to show up to the state house to receive your paycheck. So they were all getting broke because their funds had been cut off from Beto O'Rourke. So this was one of the other things that was great about this was Ken Paxton started investigating Beto O'Rourke's super PAC, funding these private jets and all this stuff to get them out of the state. So all of this dark, evil money is starting to be investigated in the state of Texas. Out of that, now the Democrats return, and one of the beautiful things we got to see this morning was this one representative sitting there trying to ask the same question over and over and over, being told every time that's not a correct question. I'm not going to answer that question by the Speaker of the House. That we'll talk about on Legally Speaking tomorrow night. But that was great. But that's kind of where we are in this. We're sort of in a limbo state. This has passed, and this is great. And now they're moving on to property tax, which is huge. If the state of Texas eliminates property tax, they will become the largest growing economy in the state. They will make California look like a little bitch. It will be hilarious. The property value in the state of Texas will skyrocket. Now, I think it will take a little while. Property tax, I don't think they eliminate it overnight. My guess is, and what I think would be the responsible way of doing it, is basically saying we're going to basically provide an extra $50,000 of homestead exemption every year for the next, let's say, 5 years. And after 5 years, we will eliminate property tax. I think it would be a mistake for the state to just completely forego that revenue immediately. That's going to be very difficult for a lot of areas. It's one of the reasons why we haven't done it here in South Carolina, is there's no real talk about it because there's a lot of areas that count on that revenue. Now, what's going to be real interesting is in September, when the Supreme Court actually has their hearing on what comes out of that. My guess is that they probably allow certain members to be removed from their seats. I don't think they allow all 62, I think it was. I don't think they're going to allow that. I think they're going to have to find some sort of correlation between money accepted, bribes, and fleeing the state. I think it's going to have to be a combination test. I don't think you're going to be able to only do it if they flee the state. But we'll see. I'm going to follow it. I'm going to read it, and I can't wait to find out. Guys, like I said earlier, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see y'all next time.